All right. I am currently doing a live video here. Welcome to CATtheMinion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is going to be about the astrological age of Gemini. This has to do with precession of the equinoxes and what was happening for a block of 2,160 years in particular. So I'm going to get the link for this and spread it around, and then I'll get going. Additionally, I should mention that usually when I go live, my internet cuts out repeatedly, and it usually just takes a minute or so to load back up. So I'll just keep going once I know that it's working. Okay. Make sure those posted. There it is. Okay. All right. So I did do a little bit of research. I had a general idea. So I'm using the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. I'm using the Wild Unknown Tarot deck, and if I need any extra clarifiers, I've got the Mini Rider-Waite deck here. I've already cleared and shuffled those decks. So let's just get into this. Okay, so if you haven't done any research or heard about it or happened upon my other videos, an astrological age happens for approximately 2,160 years. It takes 25,900 years for the zodiac sign to go all the way back around and show up in the same place in the spring equinox because the earth wobbles. And people have heard that we're heading into the age of Aquarius, and we're coming out of Pisces, which has been going on for the last 2,000 years. You might remember this dude called Jesus, who was the figurehead of the beginning of Pisces, which is why he has fishies for his symbol. And now we're heading into Aquarius, which is the water bearer. So we should be seeing more water bearer symbolism if things are happening right. For the next couple of thousand years. And similarly, in Aries, people were doing a lot of statuary with rams, and then in Taurus, there was a lot of bulls. You had the Minotaur and the bull jumping in Crete. And in Leo, you'd have a lot of lions, and so on and so forth. So the last age of Gemini would have been from about 7,400 to about 5,500 years. Some of them say like 6,900 to 47, but in general, it's around 8,000 years ago-ish. Okay, so now one thing you notice is Gemini is usually the twins. Okay, so so that's where all the stories come from, where there's twins in them. So right off the top, you got Romulus and Remus, Castor and Pollux. You've got Esau and Jacob, and then you've also got like Osiris and Isis. But the main difference is that the later age ones are all male twins, and what's happening is that the pattern is that the older twin somehow loses their birthright to the younger one, who was born, a few minutes afterwards. So he's younger and he doesn't get to inherit the kingdom or whatever. But if you go back further, you'll find that the twin stories are male and female. And if you're looking at your Gemini tarot card here, let me pull it out. Where do you get it? There's that one. I'll pull out all of them because there's like 3 of them. Come on. It's going to be the last one I find. And again, if this cuts out, it should come back in like a minute because it happens every time. Come on, man. Where the hell are you? It's literally going to be like right behind my thumb. Make me work for it. Where did it go? Passed it by completely. There it is. Okay. So I have to shuffle those again. All right. So we're looking for twins. So we go back. We've got twins here. We've got the male and the female. In the 2 of Cups, we've got the male and the female. And then the ultimate Gemini card here, number 6, we have the male and the female. Okay, so this is what they mean when they're talking about twins. During that age. And what happens is that during the several thousand years right up to the age of Gemini, there was a lot of intense earth activity, cataclysms, trauma, and in this descent from a golden age further into the Kali Yuga. And if you suffer trauma, it kind of distorts your brain, and it's like having a stroke, and then your brain has to create new pathways to function. And in that kind of mindset, you're not going to be using your left brain analytical mind. You'd be in a more animalistic, creative, otherworldly, out-of-body kind of sense. You'd be in a trance, more in a trance state. I.e., you would be in the feminine side of your brain, the right brain, and you'd see a lot of, you'd see like more gathering, you'd see like ritual ceremonies, you'd see people connecting to the earth and the stars in just very animalistic, naturalistic kind of a way. I feel like, even though Leo is usually a masculine thing, like anytime you see a cat card in an oracle deck or in another, let me pull a card from this deck in particular. There's a specific one that I want. There it is. So in the Wild Unknown Tarot, the Magician is a snow leopard. And I always feel like this is a very primal, feminine, earth energy. It's sort of instinctual and rhythmic in harmony with the elements. This is the kind of energy that I think about in terms of the feminine going into the age of Gemini. So we're living in matriarchal societies. And I know this is usually the divine masculine card, but this particular deck has a very feminine cat. And I don't think it's wrong to say that felines, even if they're male, have a certain fluid, feminine quality to them. I'm trying to think of an animal where even the feminine animal seems more male, and I'd probably say like a lizard or a rabbit or something like that. And additionally, what happens is that as the age of Gemini draws to a close, the transition is from the matriarchal society into one where you have equal partners, where you have male and female ruling together, even though the female still is the head of the household. And in that way you have like a matriarchal kingship, like in Egypt, where you'd have Isis and Osiris, but she's the one who holds the seat of power. And what you have coming down even into just before the age of Pisces, you have like at least about 4,000 years of a rule where the queen holds the power, but the pharaoh is the one who's ruling. But in order to take the throne, he has to marry the queen. So we have a lot of pharaohs who want to be the king like their dad, so they end up marrying their sister, their mother, their cousin, or whoever, because they need that joint power. Whereas when you get totally into the patriarchal age with Taurus, it's saying, I am the man, I am the ruler. Like, we're not even going to write down the woman's name. But I've noticed that if you compare a lot of, especially the biblical stories, because, I mean, you start out with Adam and Eve. Some people say they're twins. Sometimes she's supposed to be a clone of him. Sometimes he was made first and then she was made later. But there's still this idea of starting with a matched set of male and female. But in the other biblical stories, you would have Cain and Abel. They're supposed to be twins. One of them is very left brain. He's the hunter. He's using skill. He's thinking. He's focused. He has to train. He's aggressive. And it's not to say that masculinity is always aggressive. It's less in a sense of feeling and more in a sense of doing. Whereas the other guy who is growing vegetables is in a more feminine energy, where he's in tune with the earth and he's creating. And so in that sense, you could say, well, Abel was the chick in that scenario, but because once you get into that age of Taurus, the story changes, and we're not doing female anymore. We're going to say, well, we're taking the throne, but we're going to pretend that it's still male energy, so it can only be a man. But the hierarchy goes to the younger one because they see the younger one as being more effeminate usually. I think even with Esau and Jacob, Esau was supposed to be like hairy and like super manly, and his brother was just kind of like the baby and more gentle. And so you see that idea of where there's two of them, the seat of power tends to go towards the feminine side, even though they're pretending that it's not. So by the time you get to the end, it's like one ruler, we're not having twins anymore, it's me, and I'm out for all I can get. And then you'll have stories of people fighting, whatever animal is the one that is for that era, where it's, a golden fleece, or it's the Nemean lion, or however that's pronounced, or whether it's the Minotaur, who's a bull. It's different. It's different beasts for different ages. And basically, the beast that was conquered in the Age of Gemini was the woman, and she was totally replaced by another dude. So that's why there's a duality. There's one light, one dark. One's supposed to be good, one's supposed to be evil. Where it's sort of like people forget necessarily about Isis and Osiris, and they're all about Set and Osiris, where one's good, one's bad. But the real duality there is the light and dark, and the male and the female, where it's not necessarily evil, but it's like right brain creative and left brain analytical and physical and you know, speed, agility, gymnastics kind of an energy. At least in terms of mythology, in terms of like actual history, it's a little bit different. And again, also it's the shift from matriarchy to patriarchy has to do with left brain development, where it's like, oh, okay, we've survived these cataclysms, we've lived long enough as a society to start needing to like function in a group. So it's like, okay, we're doing left brain development, Gemini is an air sign, so we're doing thinking, we're doing communication, we're doing writing, we're doing buildings, we're doing agriculture, we're urbanizing, we're living in communities. Then we have like artisans and haves and have-nots. We have the idea of charity. And so what happens with the feminine is that her knowledge of being connected to the ground goes underground into a mystery school, and it's not persecuted until later on, when the patriarchy is like, hey, this is a threat, we don't want you teaching this to people. Like, if you worship goddess information, we're going to kill you. That doesn't happen until later. So right now we have this it's going underground, but it's not being attacked yet. Okay, so it's like what's that word? Oh, I just learned it the other day. Let me look it up again. There's a word for this. No. I've got to look this up real quick. There's a word that I'm looking for, and I know where the information is. I just need to find it again. What is it called? Gotta find out what this is called. Pseudomorph. That's what it is. So what happens is that the later you go in, the more recent you go in history into the patriarchy, you have with the twins, you have the younger brother, the gentler brother, whoever is a pseudomorph for the feminine, which means that pseudomorph is when you have in nature, you have one mineral entirely replaces another one. So you'll have wood that gets petrified, but now it's made of jasper instead of wood. So that's a pseudomorph. It's now rock instead of wood, or it's now malachite instead of azurite. So now it's another dude instead of the feminine. Okay, so it's a pseudomorph. That's the word I wanted. Okay. All right, so that was the last age of Gemini. So I would say that in the next age of Gemini, where are we going? We're at Aquarius. $20-something. It's like, I should have written this down ahead of time. I forgot how long it took. Okay, so we've got yeah, so it's about 18,000 years till the next age of Gemini. So what I would expect, before I even get into the cards, is that the next age would be, need some water. The next age of Gemini would be one where they would be dealing with that concept again of, do we need, like, are we going to replace the feminine again, or are we not? Are we going to learn from it instead of saying like, I don't want it to be there. So let's take a look. So I'm going to pull some cards for the previous age. I'm going to pull some cards for the next age. And I may need clarifiers, so I've got these here. And then I'll get a bridge between them. It's like the bridge in the song. All right. So me some informations for the previous age of Gemini. Ooh, that one slipped out as a challenge. So you would say, I would say definitely that the archetype for the age of Gemini would be the beginning of what we know about kingship and Kemet, Commission, kingship hierarchy. Oh, I don't think I need all of those. Okay, I guess I should take the sun too. Is that it? Oh my god, half of the cards went backwards. I hate it when they do that. Okay. Oh, okay, I guess that's enough. Anything else? Okay, flip it over. The Lovers. So that's what we're talking about, the twins, the male and the female, the paired for life. And here it's particularly apt because we have wings. So we have one lobe of the brain, we have the other lobe of the brain, and then together we have the pineal gland radiating out with all of these other chakras underneath it. Brain development and cultural development. These are kind of a challenge. Okay, so the challenge that we start off with is the Eight of Cups. Now here we have these mountains, but it also could be kind of watery here. So we have emotions, we have mountains, we have water element here, we have psychic intuition. It's in a challenge position. Okay. So a lot of earth upheaval. People didn't know which things to keep or which things to let go of. What no longer serves me doesn't really matter when I'm forced with the trauma of survival. It made it really hard to see the future. I couldn't figure out what my passions needed to be. I've lost the blueprint. I can't make any plans until I've got a new home set up. There's a glimmer of hope in the future. I'm not using my intuition. I'm using base needs for survival. So this Son of Wands is the Knight of Wands. So this has to do with quick action. It has to do with a sudden spark of inspiration or intuition. I should also say that, just as an aside, even if my recording looks good, once it plays back on YouTube, the quality goes down like intensely. And I noticed when I tried to watch back my Leo one that the quality was awful. And I don't know what's going on with that. So I tried to put more of the lights on so there'd be a little bit more light available so people could actually see the card on on playback. All right, so we have this sudden hot, I sort of call it a hot to trot motion, but here I see this as more of a kundalini activation, but only on one side. Where it's like the feminine has gut feelings about life, or maybe the masculine is establishing his gut feeling to say, hey, I have an idea. Let me rise up and start taking action here. Let me take control of the situation. I have a new idea. And I also have the Ten of Swords. So we have air, we have completion, and this one has all the swords stuffed into a bowl. It's like saying, it's like the completion of, this was set a little bit away from the other ones. It's like saying the completion of this air age leads to a descent going into the age of Taurus. You wanted your thought and communication, you're going to get it. And at the same time, the feminine is coming from this elevated level down into this Daughter of Cups energy. This is the Page of Cups. She's still in divinity with the masculine, but she's at a point where she's like a novice. She's not as connected to the earth as she was, but she still has abilities and psychic intuition. She's still in her chakras. She's drinking the waters of truth. She can see what's going on, and she lets it happen because she's aware of the times. The challenge is the world and the sun. Okay, so we have the zodiac is changing. We've come out of Leo. Okay, the masculine's had his solar plexus charged, and he's ready to move forward on his gut instincts and say, let me tell you what I think. So it's like hunt, kill, power. It's not to say that you're not listening to your intuition, because you get a lot of information if you listen to your gut, but it's also like a gut drive, a gut force, and the inner strength radiating outwards. So let me get some animal spirit cards to help clarify the last age of Gemini. And also, there's these like little feminine birdies escaping to the four corners of the earth. So the bottom of the deck gives Hummingbird, which is about journeys, and here it's in an imbalanced state. So I've also got tarantula in an imbalanced state. So we have this fire elemental here, 8 for 8,000 years ago. We have the cosmic egg with that snake around it again. Only one half of the kundalini, the masculine wrapping around the feminine and saying, I am the wall and you're staying in the egg. And then the rabbit, which I kind of called him out. So we have an earth sign here, but I said that even female rabbits are somewhat masculine. So this is an idea of the predators coming to get me. I've got to go underground. All right, so let me just skim the book here. Okay. So here we're going, the hummingbird pops up in the last age because it's going from this spiritual accessibility into this sort of pushy, intense, I'm in control idea. So we're losing touch with the sacred. And we're coming into a phase of stealing energy from other people. It's a tarantula. There's a band called Tito and Tarantula. They have this song called After Dark, which I believe was in... What's that vampire movie? From Dusk Till Dawn. So we have this idea of dark and light and things that are being pushed down and hidden. We have an occlusion. Tarantula. 31. Okay. Okay, so Gemini is also the choice, so this is about decisions that have to be made as well. Okay. So this has to do with the switching from following your life purpose and being in that earth energy flow into complete intellectualization. Okay. Okay. So now this card has to do with the crown chakra in general. The number 7. Okay. All right. So what's happening is that in terms of the crown chakra, it's saying we're taking our kundalini energy and busting through the crown chakra, which is kind of what's happening in this picture. But for some reason, the motorcycles, for some reason, the masculine's on his own in terms of busting through his crown chakra. He's not taking the feminine with him. out of balance in that way. Oh, okay, I see why. Okay. So the way that the masculine has recovered from trauma of earth cataclysms and is to come in with this connecting to his, to, hang on. Okay, it's self-realization. So it's like saying, oh, I'm not an animal, I'm a person. I can be in control of my environment. I don't have to be scared. I can feel powerful and strong and do things. But the way that he's coming at it is not in a, his way of coming out of being shocked. His way of overcoming the PTSD is to say, I'm enlightened, but to do it only from the left brain. I've woken up from my fear sleep, but now in order to overcome it, I'm going to be in charge. So he's enlightened, but he's only halfway there. He's tempered by being only in his thoughts and not in his feelings at all. His feelings are little bitty baby feelings, and he's going to ignore them. All right, so let's look at the rabbit. The rabbit. That wascally wabbit. It's rabbit season. Okay. So in terms of masculine, the rabbit would represent it would be like the 9 of Swords. It would be the sort of nightmares and fears that we complain about, and we're like, oh, I'm lost, I don't know what to do. But he's going to come out and be like swords for days to overcome it. Whereas the feminine in this rabbit energy is more like, oh, I just lost the page too. She's more like, I'm just gonna take myself away and hide and just deal with the idea of loss. If she's not really scared, she's just taking herself out of the equation by the end of the age. All right. So I feel like that's pretty good, but I'm just going to get like a couple of clarifiers from the mini Rider-Waite just to seal that whole deal up. And I chose, or I was led to choose the, oh, I have some cards that flipped over here. What's this? These flipped over. So Panther, that's that prime feminine energy again, that earth energy. And she's got a mouse that's out of balance. So let me just read these cards real quick too. The mouse. I think the mouse is like where it's overwhelmed and it gets nitpicky. Can't read my handwriting. Oh, it's a 4. So it's busyness with no purpose. So you're coming out of fear, and you can try to control every detail. So that's what's happening with the masculine, which is why he came out with the cosmic egg, but he's only in his thoughts. He's trying to control the situation. All right, so we got Panther, which I need to find because I haven't written it down yet. It's a fire elemental. The Panther card in the mystical shaman deck is, I think, my favorite card in that deck, but this is not that. Okay. So this is about growth, no matter how much havoc has to happen in the interim. It's like the Tower, it's like devastation, but it's intentional. It's this sort of trickster energy, but it's like catastrophic gauntlet energy. You have to run the gauntlet. You have to be the gladiator. When you come out, you'll have learned something really important, and you're going to get the star card afterwards. So it's this intense primal feminine energy in this fire element saying, this is going to hurt, but it's going to be worth it. Okay. And when it's worth, you learn something, a new foundation. So the Tower and then a new foundation heading into the next age. So yeah. So the completion of this age is a huge burden, but we need to have patience. And then there's the 17, the star card, like I said. So I think that's enough for the last age. So let me stuff all these in a pile and move them, and I'll get into the next age of Gemini. Ah! Card. Snapped. It was a snap without a bend. All right. So let me souffle the deck. And I'll get for the next age of Gemini, which is going to be in like 18,000 years, which is roughly the moon. We're in darkness, or we're holding on to these secrets and fears and darknesses that were left over from the last age, and we'll have to deal with them. Now, this also, even though this deals with cosmic timescales, it can also be representing this month or next month or this year in June or whenever Gemini comes up in terms of a planet in Gemini, an eclipse in Gemini, your sign in Gemini, or if you're getting a reading and the Lovers pops out, it might not be your relationship, it might be having to do with this left and right brain energy. I'm actually finding out a lot that most of the readings have to do with the development of the brain, or at least in terms of masculine and feminine energy and what's going on with them in this grand scheme of things. This card. Interesting. Just both of these. Ooh. Okay. What else? No, I don't need that whole goddamn stack. Anything else for the next age? This is a lot of cards. There's that mouse. Is it enough? One more? One more. Vamos! Burner Bush! No, not the whole deck. I guess I'll take Secretariat. This is not the right stick for this. Okay. Oh, we got it. Okay. Wow. Interesting. Come back to that in a second. Okay. So put these in order. So the first card that came out, Five of Wands. Very angular. So we're in a masculine element. We're a very angular masculine. We've got this sort of muscle bands. We've got these neuron looking things. So we're in the masculine's headspace. Sort of confused, angry, immature combatant energy coming out from the last age of Gemini when we went into the patriarchy. So we have the Mother of Wands here. This is the Queen of Wands. She's protecting her nest egg of spiritual information. This is my hoard of stuff. I will bite your face off if you come for my information. Four of Pentacles inverted. Cat's cradle. Right, now this can be a balance between the masculine and the feminine. There's also this background pentagonal information here. So I can also see this as a judgment card, but it's inverted. It's like judgment hangs in the balance. We're not waking up yet. We have more work to do. We're tied to the physical world where we keep running on this machine of not knowing what's really important and what things we should really be holding on to. A lack of discernment. Six of Wands inverted. So this is, we have the butterfly for transformation, which have been coming up for me a lot this week everywhere I go. So we have 6 Pentacles and 4 Wands. Together we have this completion. But if we take all these Wands here, we've got 11, which is a divine timing of kind of a plan. But we've also got 13, which is the death cycle, or a 1. So we're getting into 12, which is the hanged man that's upside down. So it's like we won't have victory in terms of transformation from the imbalance of the last age until we complete the death cycle, complete the cycle, and deal with this energy that's left over from the last age. Darkness looms overhead. If we deal with it and let it clear out, then we can fly into the stars. 17. This is also the age of Aquarius. So we need to be aware of the imbalance in masculine and feminine energies heading into the age of Aquarius. And when we get to the next age of Gemini, when we're going to heal this, there's going to be something important in this age that's happening now that will link to what's going to happen in 18,000 years. They're all connected anyway, but it's particularly important in terms of this star energy. It's kind of like I'm also getting this sense like when you're playing Mario and you have to get the star at the end of the level, and it spins. That's like when you level up. So what else came out here? We had the Leo card for strength came out a little bit cockeyed. He's got a sort of emotive rose in his mouth. We have the sun here coming down. So we have the number 8. We have this magician's infinity on his head. And he's a little bit cockeyed coming out. Was it upside down when I grabbed it? I guess it was kind of like this. There is an inherent weakness when all you show is a show of strength. That has to do with this patriarchy energy. Might does not make right. So we have the 9 of Cups here. And the moon. So what did I say? 18,000 years the next cycle. We have the moon. So we have to deal with this. We have... These are like the ages in between, right? Each cup is an age. We have Aquarius and Capricorn. No, is it Capricorn? Capricorn, Sagittarius. You know, back to the... You get the idea. Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, Leo, Cancer. I think. Did I get that right? I feel like I'm missing somebody. Aquarius, Capricorn, Cancer. Oh. Let me do that again. I always forget somebody. So we got Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, Scorpio, Libra, Virgo, Leo, Cancer, and then Gemini again from where we are now. So each of these is a block of 2,000 years of enhanced psychic intuition, of filling up with different energies and pouring them out again to try to come back to this darkness of the previous cycle. I know I said that all effed up, but just pretend it made sense. Each of these is one of the next ages. We're coming back to Gemini to deal with the darkness. And when we do, we have this... We have 9 and 8 here usually, which is the star again, 17. But this deck has this as 11. So we have divine timing again of a plan. And this would be judgment. So that would be waking up. Which what we would do if we dealt with the moon cycle and went through it in the next age, we would wake up. And this also has to do with dreams. Sweet dreams are made of this. Or these. So this in itself is like a half wish card. It's like half of the star with this moon dream intuition energy. It's not nightmares. It's like waking up to live the dream. Sweet dreams. So then we have the King of Cups. We're getting mastery over this in the next one. So we're not going to be in this... I don't know what I'm holding and letting go of. I gotta walk away. Look, I'm just a baby. I'm a little girl holding on to my feelings. That's how the feminine was coming out of the last age. But see, now the masculine is going to learn his emotions, which will pull him out of this patriarchy energy. and his psychic intuition. So where the mouse before was compensating for fear by being snippy and aggressive, with this dealing with this fears and darkness will flip him over, and he won't be dissatisfied with what he has. He will take that divine guidance and say, oh, now I get it. So I had the Five of Cups, but it's inverted. I call this the Secretariat card, because the horse on Craig Ferguson is Secretariat. There's another horse in this deck that I call Shadowfax, so this one, the sad one, is Secretariat. So this is the idea of, oh, we're not left out in the cold anymore. I'm in tune with my feelings. I understand that I still have my two cups of being in balance with the masculine and the feminine energy. You know, I can saddle up and move on now. And what came out at the bottom of the deck is this Transformative Butterfly. This is the Two of Pentacles. This is how a masculine energy balances two things that they're working on. Do I be in my headspace? Do I do intuition? He's training. He's transforming. He's working on using both halves of his brain. Now we have two here, right? Like the lovers, like the Two of Cups card with the masculine and feminine. It's like if you... What's the other one? Okay. It's like if you take the Two of Pentacles, the Two of Swords, and the Two of Cups together, you get the Six. Okay. Now the Two of Wands is a choice. So it's a background energy. But if you take the Two Pentacles and the Two Cups and the Two Swords, it's sort of like love and then training for both sides. So he's training in the feminine earth element to use the lobes of his brain. So it's like he's in his feelings, but because he's sort of in this sort of angular motion behind him, his analytical mind says, okay, I'm going to learn by practical application how to be in charge of my feelings. All right, so let's get, which is a lot better than just ignoring them and saying, oh, I'm enlightened because I woke up from my terrors and now I'm just going to have bravado so that I don't have to feel traumatized by previous disaster. So in the next Age of Gemini, the masculine is really going to work on his inner feminine, basically. And that isn't, I'm not saying that in terms of twin flame, although with the Gemini energy and the Lover's card, you could say that it could be. This is just in terms of energies. Because of the yin yang thing, even the masculine energy has a little bit of femininity in it with these elements like this, or earth. So let's get a couple of animal spirit cards for the next Age of Gemini. Give me the card. Maybe I should. Wow, 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 wow. Eggs. Cards, please. Huh. Doesn't surprise me. Whoa. Do I want those? No. Nope. I'm gonna need all 3 of those. Okay. Leave that aside for a second. So the first card that came out is Spider, inverted. So I feel like this is a callback to the Tarantula card. You know, this energy of 8 again. Earth energy. Yeah, that's Earth energy, I think. Yeah, that's Earth energy. So we have all the chakras lit up. We've got this sort of neural network. We've got this idea of 8. So I get the sense that it's kind of like the 8 of Swords energy. We're caught in our own web, in our own network. And I think it harkens back to this card of saying we're caught in the machinery. So starfish energy. So this is water element, but because of that pentagon there, we're also apparently going through puberty, and I sense this sort of earth element here. So it's the female energy is in this inverted starfish energy, and I don't remember what that is entirely, but it's sort of like washed up or soggy. So let me look at those first before I move on, because I feel like we're going to level up in these next cards here. Spider. Spider card does whatever a spider card does. Where's my spider? I'm not going to apologize for reading from the book either, because I don't. I don't like it. Too bad. And one of the other cards mentioned Dharma too. Which one was it? I think it was, oh, it might have been the Cosmic Egg that mentioned Dharma. So we're fatigued by our own being stuck in our own machinery. Okay. So this is in the next Age of Gemini. The concept is that there's going to be a rebalance between what have you done for me lately and like what is your process. It's like mindfulness versus give me the money, you know. So when we're, it's like apathetic to spirituality, kind of. It's like I feel like if the starfish is going to be earth mixed with water, this is like earth mixed with fire. I'm also hearing earth, wind, and fire. So the masculine identity has been in blood, sweat, and tears mode in order to turn the wheel in the sky into the next age. We want to be in a place of creativity and abundance. It's like this web isn't 24 karat gold, but look how beautiful it is to see it made. How much does it cost? I don't want to pay that much, but it took me this long to make it. That's the kind of energy. It's getting back into like a purpose of life by being focused on the creative process instead of the result. It's like if you spend like 4 hours making a dinner and somebody eats it in 10 minutes and doesn't say thank you. That's the kind of inverted spider energy. You know, it's like it took you 27 hours to crochet a blanket and somebody only wants to pay $10 for it because they can get one from China that somebody slaved over for $10. Ooh, where did these come from? Oh, okay, those were those ones that they fell in the book. Okay. So it's lack of value for creation that's going to be addressed in the next age. So starfish 97. Thirsty again. Oh yeah, see, when the starfish is upright, it's shallow. So we have again the idea of earth and water together. So this is a sense of emptiness when it's out of balance. So again, it's going back to this idea of we need to get back to creativity because our society that's based only on what have you done for me lately is shallow. So here we have this sort of creative divinity. We have, you know, earth and water together. We have this basis of life, really. Dirt and fluid. Oh. Okay, so it's going back to you need to get back to your dreams and what's really important. What have you been ignoring? You know, your behavior has been shallow, but what are you really feeling? So directly flying out on top of the starfish to challenge it is this primal feminine fire energy of the tiger with the moon in the third eye. She's exactly like this Queen of Wands here, except she's not operating from this Kundalini serpent. She's in this primal, grounded energy coming from her gut, all the way into her third chakra. 39. So we're at ease in the darkness. We're able to go in and say, yes, I'm going to go out and clear all this, this stank ass, stuck ass, shallow as fuck energy. Which is just a nice way of saying this. So we have 5 wands here, and you could make a pentagonal shape out of those, which would give you this as well. It's saying that even the feminine has been swayed over time into saying, like, into being somewhat superficial, not having anything of deep, dark value to bring forth. It's about lunar energy, healing the spirits, sensuality, receptivity. It's like taking, it's like resonance when you hop onto this this sort of moon flow. So let me try not to make people say moon flow. And to say, oh, okay, this is the right time to work on these leftover stagnations from the last age. Right? So it's all about activating the third eye, which in order to do, you need to unite both the male and the female energy. All right, you get the left half of the brain, the right half of the brain, and right in the middle, you've got the pineal gland, which opens up once you deal with the darkness. Candle gazing, y'all. Okay, so the bottom of the deck for that series is the wolf. Isn't he cute? He's sort of fiery here, but he's in the earth as well. Now, I haven't gotten that card that much, so I'm not sure what else to say about him yet, so let me find him. Some of these I'm starting to remember. Oh, okay, I know why this came out. Okay, so if this is the feminine, she's in a fire element, which is a masculine element. The wolf comes out with this fiery background, but he's in the earth element, so he's in the feminine energy. So they're both saying, okay, I'm going to be using both halves of myself. I'm going to be using all of my energy that I have to come through. So when he's in balance like this, he's the protector of the pack. He's a guardian. He's ritualistic. He's active. He's into activism. He's proactive. He's reliable. He's fearless. He's democratic. He's not ruling with an iron fist. He's saying, I am protecting you. I care. I am feeling humanitarian. I am tolerant. Okay. So when he comes with when the masculine energy finally finishes this cycle of he's I'll find my card from before. This is when he first wakes up from dealing with those thousands of years of trauma. He's like, aha, I am in charge now. I have seen the light and I am in control of it. When he goes through the next phase of the cycle and levels up on the spiral, he's saying, oh, I've worked out all this darkness. I'm no longer attached to it. I've gotten in tune with my feelings, and now I am the protector of all that I survey. And if you go back far enough, you'll find that someone who was a king was responsible for the well-being of the land. He didn't own it, he cultivated it. And that's why there's an earth symbol on here. He's a protector. So that's for the future. I feel like I don't even really need to do a bridge. Let me just grab a couple of cards here from the mini Rider-Waite to clarify. Anything else for the next age? Okay. So all of these cards came out inverted. We have the Six of Swords. So we're not running away from the bullshit. We have to stay and deal with it. He's not in balance with his emotions and his materialistic needs. Or, I mean, his heart chakra is closed. He's greedy. He's not giving, there's no charity. So we have 2, 6, no, that's 6 and 7. So that's a death cycle there. That's 13 that needs to happen. And then we have the 3 of Wands inverted, which is another 3. So that's the Tower. You can't see where you're going if you haven't dealt with your past. And that concept that the Tower has to do with is this Ace of Cups. You're ignoring your feelings. You have to go down, dive deep, and get to them. You need to jump out of this boat and get into that water and stop thinking about it so much. And when we have all of these cards together, we get that 17, which is the Star card. And that's why we have the Knight of Pentacles here, because this is the Wolf. He's got his Earth element there. He's in a Pentacle. He doesn't have to rush because he's in a state of protection. He's defense. He's surveying. His horse is neither sad nor aggressive. He's just chilling. He's like, I got you if I need to. I'm cool. All right. And you see in the bottom here, the choice is made for you because you had to work on this. Okay. So let me just get a little bit for the bridge between them. I think it's kind of obvious, but it's like saying, well, is there any gap or anything that has to happen in the interim in particular? So let's just get a couple more to finish this off. Okay, so here's the 6 of Swords again. This time, transformation equals letting go of all of those, that overthinking. Rainbow. Let's try to come out again. Woo! Is that it? Okay. Okay, so we'll do these ones first, and then I'll do that one. Okay. 4 of Wands. So I see this, even though it's angular, it's like in the interim, the masculine's third eye is opening up. He's going to be able to set a new foundation for the next age of Gemini. So I had called out the wheel at least once, and it might have popped out already again, but we have this spidery woven web. We have the moon down here. We have the sun here. We have the owl coming in with some information in the darkness. We have a completion cycle. So once the wheel turns and goes back to the age of Gemini, so we have owl here, information that's sort of like an air element there. We have illumination. We have this sun illumination coming in from our core and bringing us straight up into this completion cycle once we get back around to the next age. Okay. And this is basically reiterating the same thing in terms of psychic intuition, in terms of dealing with feelings and the darkness. So you have the 7 of Cups inverted, and this is my finding the light or seeing the light card. And in my music deck, I have the song Into the Light by Johnny Lang for that particular reason. And I think I need to put that in the description, because it kind of encompasses this whole reading, really. When you hear the song, you'll know why. Motorcycles. Okay. And also it's this idea of 3 here, and this one, it's like the one true feeling of intuition is being filled with the light of the sun. We're having illumination. My cards just jumped in the trash. Thanks a lot, buddy. The Devil card would like to interrupt that the chains will be loosened, because normally this is like the anti-lovers card. It's got the male and the masculine and the feminine chained to the devil instead of hanging out in front of the angel. So we've got this pentacle here. It's like saying, after all these ages, because this is a nod to Capricorn as well, we're coming through all these time scales, and instead of being chained to the materialistic, what have you done for me lately? King of the hill, king of the mountain, I own all the things. We have illumination. Feet are on fire. Illumination, descending out of darkness, and then we have this freedom and balance. We have the Eight of Wands, but it's inverted. So again, it has to do with the time scales. We're receiving illumination. We're getting this communication. The wheel is turning very slowly because of these grand scales, but it's going to happen. The communication will come in like a bolt of lightning at the right time. Three of Pentacles. We're building a new cathedral. There is a new hotspot for the energy. We're erecting a new temple. We're making a new plan. And so it's like saying the butterfly with the 2 pentacles is making this triangle, which is related to the 3 of Wands that has to do with being able to see the future. So we're building a new rock to stand on for the future, which is where this new foundation is going to be coming from. Working together with the masculine and the feminine. It's kind of like this. It's like here's masculine, here's feminine, and here's them together. So we have and then together, and we're building a new foundation. Okay. So this card, we have that rainbow that popped out again. You have the Daughter of Pentacles. This is the Page of Pentacles, but it came out inverted. So the feminine, also is going to be working on her own personal release from a material world. I need to ground in to the earth and trust that I can connect and not be afraid to see beyond material things. Okay. So let's get some Aminology cards here for the bridge. Ah, the black egg popped out again. You know, I've also had Humpty Dumpty come up a couple of times for me in the last couple of days. But I had this very profound thought, especially with the snakes and the clutch of eggs and the cosmic egg and now the black egg that popped out. This grand idea, because I saw, well, I'll tell you what I saw after, but so Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. Now, the nursery rhyme never explicitly says that Humpty Dumpty is an egg, but he's always drawn that way. I'm also wondering now if the egg is a substitute for the feminine, because the female is the one who carries eggs in general. It's like she fell off the wall and all the might of the kingdoms couldn't replace the knowledge that was lost when she went underground. But then I also had this idea that, oh my God, what if Humpty Dumpty couldn't be put back together because when he fell on the ground, a chicken popped out and walked away. Didn't get that, did you? Okay, so the vulture energy has to do with cleaning up messes. Nobody's going to come in and clean up this for you. You have to do the work yourself. And that's to the masculine and feminine energies. So let's get back to this black egg for a second. Throat chakra. So this is when the feminine is going to be communicating. So the masculine was in that air energy, language, writing, pictographs, petroglyphs, all that good stuff. Talking over everybody. So this represents in the bridge, the feminine energy is going to begin to speak the truth. It's like a chicken pecking through the egg bit by bit, breaking through the cage. Once she's out, she can't be put back in again. Okay, we're not going to be in this superficiality of gossip or bullshitting to gain notoriety. It's like truth and clarity. It's the throat chakra. It has to do with it's important for writers, editors, musicians, and teachers. So it's like the bird pecking out of the egg, little by little, information is coming out. It's going to be the truth. You won't be able to put the egg back together once the cat's out of the bag, because the little birdie's going to sing. And it'll sound better than just the idle chatter, because it'll be in tune with the earth. All right, so the other card that came out, Earth Energy Bear. So this is like a hibernation card. It's like, it's time to wake up. Things are going to be a little sluggish at first. It's like the Knight of Pentacles. He's slow moving and sluggish, but he's going to get going. It's like a springtime kind of an energy. Let me just skim that to make sure I didn't miss anything. 61. Yeah, waking from a spiritual slumber to deliver the truth. She's coming out from underground. And it has to do with transformation, again, like with the butterfly. So we get Beaver here. Beaver energy, Cups energy. He's so cute with little buck teeth. He's kind of egg-shaped as well. And of course, the sexual metaphor for the feminine as well. 101, or metaphor, whatever. I guess it's a metaphor. Failing at finding the right page here for a second. Okay. So this is, I'm actually getting this as sort of a transitional card for the masculine energy. It's saying hardworking, loyal, family first kind of an energy. It's by way of earth element. It's sort of like dragging your feet a little bit and sort of jumping on the train of somebody else, but once you're at work, you see it through. It's like selflessness and steady long-term effort. So it's like saying, you know, take your time, work on it, come in slow, just, you know, get your feet wet with the water, and then once you're ready, in the next age, you'll come out. Put him back in the deck, and I wish I hadn't already. Oh. It's like find him again. Okay. It's like the wolf in training. It's like you're not quite sure how you feel about it, but you're gonna put in the effort. You're gonna get going, you're gonna try, you're gonna start building that new foundation of caring about family instead of being lord over it. So by the time you get to the next age of Gemini, the concept is that you're going to be gut sure of your place in protecting and providing for the world. It's like the masculine energy is like, I want to solve problems. I want to create a good environment. You know, I want to use my skills and my thought and my ability to communicate to make something useful, and instead of this fear-based, I need to have stuff because I hurt. Okay, so we've got training and we've got completion. And the same for the feminine. We have waking up, training, completion. All right, and that is, where's the other card again? And that will lead to justice. Balance. Come on, where is it? And ultimately, full chakra blowout union. Balance, sound, balanced decision making, clarity of thought, intuition, and analysis, psychic abilities, discernment, compassion, connection to the earth, community, ability to build material goods with the idea of creativity instead of demand. All right. I left my sheet over there and I don't feel like going to get it. I don't have any of my CATtheMinion stuff in front of me. Oh, fuck it. We'll do it live. Okay. So, In the description box underneath this, I'm going to put the link to my infomercial video, and that is going to be the place where you will find information on how to be interrupted by vehicles driving by at least 10 to 15 miles over the speed limit. So you can donate to me. It's paypal.me/CATtheMinion. I have Venmo and Cash App as well. If you want to order a reading, you can do that. You can email me. It's thecatcamebackatcamp@gmail.com. The most similar reading to the readings that I'm doing for this series is called Roadblock Moguls. And there's several other readings. I'm going to put the link to the information where all the readings are listed. It's called the infomercial video. I'll put the link in the description box. I'll put the link in a comment down below so it's easier to find. You can see prices. You can see which readings are available. You can click on the link to see some art stuff if you want to. And again, this is part of a series. I'm not done yet, but I have playlists. So if you go to my channel and go to playlists, you'll be able to find the other videos for the astrological ages that I've done so far. I think I might be halfway there. And then, yeah, so in the playlist, you'll be able to find the astrological ages. You'll be able to find some ancestral channelings. I have a couple of really simple how-to art and craft videos. And then, again, the infomercial video will tell you what readings I have. If you want to buy one, please do. If you want to donate, please do. And then you can like or share if you're inclined, comment, that's always fun. And then also please subscribe because it's very simple and easy and low commitment and it helps me out a lot. I just want to say thank you to anyone who's listening or watching, and have a good day. Bye bye now. Meow. 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 Meow.